Every year, the same parade rolled down Main Street, the same brass band, the same polished boots, the same families waving flags from the sidewalk. It was a tradition in Elmsfield, a quiet American town with more mailboxes than stoplights. And every year, on the corner of Maple and Fifth, a man stood alone. He was always there before the crowd, before the police closed the street, before the band struck their first note. He came early and stayed late, standing, never clapping, never cheering, never saluting, just watching. People noticed him. At first, kids asked their parents who he was. Most didn't know. Some thought he was a local veteran. Others thought he was just lonely. A few whispered he might be homeless, though his faded bomber jacket always looked just clean enough to say otherwise. And his boots, while old, were tied with precise care. But no one ever asked him. This year, Claire Huxley noticed him again. She was 17 now, a senior at Elmsfield High, and this would be her last parade before college. She stood near the local coffee shop with her younger brother Tommy, sipping an iced latte while he swung a tiny flag like a sword. "There he is again," she said. Tommy looked. "The quiet guy?" "Yeah." Claire tilted her phone down. She zoomed in. Same man, same corner, same posture, hands behind his back, shoulders square, gaze fixed on the horizon like he was waiting for something else. "Maybe he's a ghost," Tommy said, giggling. Claire smiled. "He's not a ghost, dummy." But truth be told, there was something ghostly about him, like he didn't belong to the noise of the present. A week earlier, Claire had started an oral history project for her AP American History class. The assignment: find someone from Elmsfield who had a story connected to the military and record their account. She interviewed her grandfather. She spoke to Mr. Connolly, who ran the hardware store and had served in Vietnam. She even recorded Mrs. Dyer from the library, who once trained pilots during World War II as a WASP. But the man at the parade, he intrigued her more than all of them. So she made up her mind. This year she was going to talk to him. The day before the parade, Claire made flyers with her school's logo. Seeking military veterans for oral history project. She printed 10 and tacked them up around town. Post office, grocery store, library. But for the quiet man, she knew she had to go in person. So that morning, she walked to Maple and Fifth and waited. He came at exactly 9:14 a.m., wearing the same brown leather jacket, carrying nothing. He didn't even glance at her. Claire stepped forward. "Excuse me, sir?" He stopped but didn't turn. "I'm doing a history project," she began. "I'm collecting stories from veterans. If you served, I'd love to interview you." He turned slowly. His eyes were a shade of blue that had seen deserts, storms, and funerals. Not angry, not cold. Just tired. "No stories," he said simply. Claire blinked. "Are you sure?" He nodded once. "Some things stay buried, safer that way." And then he walked on. Claire didn't give up. That night, she stayed up Googling military patches. She looked at photos of bombers, paratroopers, SEALs, and snipers. She scrolled through archives trying to place the jacket, the stance, the face. Then she saw it. A grainy photo from 1984, an article titled "Ghost Unit: The Black Edge Operatives." It was a piece on unofficial operations during the Cold War. The photo was blurry, but there was a man in the background, same square jaw, same storm gray hair, same bomber jacket. A note under the photo said, "Unit records unavailable, members unlisted, believed to have operated in Eastern Europe and Central Asia, disavowed by official channels." Claire sat back, heart pounding. She didn't sleep much that night. The morning of the parade, the town came alive. Red, white, and blue ribbons hung from porches. Kids chalked stars on the sidewalks. The mayor shook hands and took photos. Families gathered early with folding chairs. And Claire stood near the man again. But this time, she didn't try to talk. She just stood beside him. He gave her a brief glance. "You came back," he said. "Still hoping for a story," she replied. He didn't smile, but he didn't leave either. The band approached from the west, trumpets echoing off brick buildings. Rows of ROTC cadets marched, followed by flag bearers. The mayor gave his annual address over loudspeaker. Then came the Gold Star families, photos of sons and daughters who never returned. the man's eyes fixed on one frame. A young man, brown hair, broad smile. The caption read, Lieutenant Andrew Whitmore, KIA, 2002. Claire noticed the man's hand tremble. "Did you know him?" she asked softly. He nodded once. "He was one of mine." That evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees and the flags fluttered in golden light, Claire found herself walking alone. Then she heard boots. She turned. The man approached. He handed her a folded paper. "Don't use my name, but you can use the story." Before she could thank him, he walked away. She unfolded the paper. It was short, barely a page, but every word shook her. We weren't supposed to be there. Officially, we never were. But there was a town, a village. They had intel we needed. We went in, got it. Then we stayed, helped rebuild, protected them for 6 weeks, until they came. We lost, too. Andrew saved a child, took a bullet in the process. He died in my arms. I never forgave myself for sending him, but he never blamed me. His last words were, "Tell them I did something right." I never told anyone, until now. Claire read it twice, then again. Her hands trembled. The next day, Claire printed the story. She added no name, no details that could trace it back. But she submitted it with her project. Her teacher, Mrs. Langley, read it and wept. She showed it to the principal, then the local news. By week's end, the town was buzzing. Who was he? Was that story real? Do we know the names? Claire kept silent. So did the man, until the next parade. 1 year later, Claire stood again at the same corner. She didn't expect to see him, but there he was. Same jacket, same boots, same silence, until the flag passed. And for the first time, the man's hand rose. A slow, deliberate salute. Every eye turned, every breath held, and suddenly the noise of the parade faded. In that single moment, everyone knew. He had been seen and remembered. The summer after the salute, Elmsfield wasn't quite the same. Whispers spread about the quiet man who'd finally moved his hand. People spoke of him with newfound reverence. The younger kids stopped calling him a ghost. Now they called him the Salute Guy. The local paper ran an editorial titled, "A Moment of Respect That Changed a Town." But the man, his name still unknown to most, was nowhere to be found. Claire looked for him. So did others. Some claimed they saw him driving a faded blue pickup westbound 2 days after the parade. Others said he left a note at the VFW hall, though no one ever confirmed it. Claire felt the absence more than most. She carried the weight of that one page he'd given her like a sacred text. Her teacher submitted it anonymously to a veterans memorial anthology, and to everyone's surprise, it was selected for national publication. The editor noted, "It captures the unspoken cost of war and the quiet courage of those who carry it." The following fall, Claire started her freshman year at a liberal arts college in Pennsylvania. Her major? History, with a concentration in military studies. She joined the university's Veterans Outreach Program and interned at the State Archive. But she never forgot the man in the bomber jacket. Then, one rainy October morning, she got an envelope. No return address. Inside, a photo. It showed a small cabin, somewhere in the Rockies, with a red, white, and blue flag nailed to the porch. On the back, scribbled in neat block letters, "Building in peace what we once fought to protect." She knew. That winter, Claire returned home for break. Elmsfield was quiet again, snow dusting the rooftops, wreaths on the lampposts. But one new thing stood on the corner of Maple and Fifth. A small granite plaque, simple, understated. It read, "To the ones who stood without asking to be seen." Claire wasn't sure who placed it there. No one claimed it. But people left flowers. She visited it every week. Years passed. Claire graduated, earned a scholarship to research post-conflict trauma among retired operatives. She spoke at symposiums, wrote papers, always including that anonymous story, never the name. Then one evening, after delivering a lecture at a military college, a retired colonel approached her. "I knew him," the man said. Claire blinked. "Excuse me." "The man in your story. He was with 3rd Recon, but later recruited into something else. They called them the Black Edge. No ranks, no medals, just missions, ghosts in every sense. You knew his name? I did, the colonel said, but he asked us all to forget it, said what mattered was the people they protected, not the men who pulled the triggers. He handed her a challenge coin, worn, silver, the edges dull, engraved with one phrase, "Tell them we did something right." Claire's eyes filled. Back in Elmsfield, the parade still ran every year, the band still played, the mayor still shook hands. And every year, someone new stood at the corner of Maple and Fifth. A veteran, a child, a widow, a teacher, people who read the story, people who saluted. Because it wasn't about a man anymore. It was about the silence he broke and the echoes he left behind. The final line of Claire's last published article read, "Sometimes a whole generation is remembered because one man finally raised his hand,